Why the hell do they look like some wizard wands? What is that all about? These textures are broken. Now, there's a brand new airplane for the Microsoft Flight Simulator series out, and people are having mixed opinions about it. Everybody, today we're talking about the brand new 777-200 by PMDG for $77.72. You know, it kind of makes sense with the airplane itself. They did this previously on the 777-300 that came out almost 2 years ago. It was priced 777-300 originally. And we already here are at kind of the thing that people are a bit mad about. And it's the fact that if you bought the PMDG 777-300 ER like I did, the bigger one, the longer one, you do not get a discount on the new one at all. It isn't thought to be like an extension package where, okay, if you were a loyal customer and bought the previous model, the 300, you get the 200 for a discounted price. No, I just paid full price of the 777 myself. It is quite a bit of an expensive upgrade then, but a reason to get it is that it is finally supporting the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, whereas the old one, the 777-300, isn't. So, some bad mouths are saying that PMDG hasn't yet updated the new 777 for the 2020 version, so that people have more reason to buy the new one, which supports the new version. Once again, people are having mixed opinions about this. I mean, to fly relatively similar airplanes in the Microsoft Flight Sim, I paid around $150. But let's take a look. Just an hour ago, I made a bit of a live stream here on my YouTube channel to have a first look, and I noticed a few interesting things. So here we are once again in the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, where we finally now have a 777. And PMDG is good. I'm not saying this is a bad plane at all. Look, we can configure it and we can check out different engine types here. Rolls-Royce Trent, Pratt & Whitney, GE90, which of course is the engine that we will use. The biggest and most powerful engine ever made, and it's great. So let's have a look at that. And let's spawn into an airport. And it doesn't really have to be a big one, because I've figured the performance of this plane is a bit crazy. So let's spawn in indeed. Let's use the normal PMDG livery. Something I do like is the new PMDG Operations Center, where we can, install liveries for our airplane. It's very easy, very simple, very normal PMDG. So once again, let's spawn in. It is big. So let's have a look at this apparently overpriced airplane now. And why? Oh my God, why is it move? Hello, stop moving. Stop moving. Oh God, it's moving. Okay, that's not very good. Something we can see is that when we spawn in, despite this plane being natively supported in the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, it does not have, your walk-around features, where you have to remove engine covers or chocks. It doesn't do that, but it's kind of rolling away for us. Let's not get run over by a 777, but we can have a close look at the modeling. And I found the muddling to be pretty interesting. Shut up. We've got some sort of narrator mode on. What I'm a little bit irritated by is the texturing here on the, why is that? I mean, I've never seen this. This is what a normal GE90 looks like. It has a, normal spiral here on the engine spinner, but this is kind of weird looking. Yes, talking about modeling. Something that some people say about this airplane is that, for example, the Captain Sim 777, you may know that, this Captain Scam has better exterior model than the PMDG. And that might genuinely be true, especially when you start having a close look. A close look at the pitot tubes. I figured this out in the stream. I was so confused. Why the hell do they look like some wizard wands? What is that all about? These textures are broken. I don't know if this is like a LOD issue with the Microsoft Flight Sim, but this is not how, that is not, it may look like that when it's deformed. Other than that, the textures aren't extremely good. Like, for example, the texture mapping, we call it, so where the actual texture of the plane goes, doesn't really make sense. There's like some white space here. This is what the landing gear bay door looks like. We've got some more white here for no apparent reason. There's some proper panel gaps. Overall, the landing gear itself isn't very poorly done, let's be honest, but it very much isn't the best. It may look like a default airplane for the Microsoft Flight Sim in terms of the, standards. I mean, nowadays we have Phoenix Simulations A320, which is so well modeled. It is such a nice plane for far less money. you know? So that's a bit of a shame. This spinner is also completely odd, but don't take my word off for it. Like, that is not how it's supposed to look like. Here's some more landing gear stuff. Don't get me wrong, I couldn't have done any better, but this is not groundbreaking at all. Anyway, let's finally get into the cockpit here. So we press Shift C like that to actually get started on our Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 flight. Look at that. Welcome to the cockpit of the PMDG. It really doesn't look bad, although we're not talking about, once again, a major upgrade to like something like a Captain Sim 777. I mean, of course, in terms of the system functionality, which is very nicely done. Oh, evacuation. Let's go do that. Yes, evac. Yes, very audible noise in the cockpit. Turns on the lights here. Yeah, welcome to the PMDG cabin indeed, which, you know, isn't bad looking. It's not very functional though. We don't have like a fancy screen here that works, although this kind of looks like it's supposed to work. This plane doesn't have a lavatory either, so that's a bit of a shame. We can't go to the bathroom here. Also, the evacuation horn only sounds in the cockpit. That's interesting. Hey, look, at least when we turn on the passenger seatbelt signs here, they actually turn on, as you can see in the cabin itself. Anyway, let's do the quick engine startup. This all works without any issues. Turn on the engine starts. Yep, and that should get the GE90 engines turned on in a jiff. Now we have an electronic flight bag here, which is normal PMDG style. Nothing's really changed here. Here we go, select Navigraph. It's a great thing, but you know, this plane doesn't really offer anything particularly new in comparison to the 300. It's really just a smaller version. Now the engines are turning on. Some people are kind of criticizing the sound design. I'm not really a sound person. I don't really care about it, but I get what they're saying. This is not particularly interesting of a sound. This is a G90 engine and it kind of doesn't do it justice. Although I've actually in the stream I've had some weird issues there. Don't take my word for it. Whoa. Huh? But for some reason in my live stream, it started like doing like some weird DDDD thing. Anyway, come on, let's get our position initialized very nicely. Perfect, airplane works. We may want to get rid of the chocks and everything. We can do that here. Remove chocks, close all the doors here. That's very nice. But I hope you get what I'm kind of saying here. This airplane doesn't feel like an upgrade, although you pay for quite the upgrade. I think people will only really buy this plane if they haven't owned the 777 previously because they are not interested in the 300 for some reason. Look, if I wouldn't have made a video about this plane, I definitely wouldn't have bought this upgrade because it doesn't feel like one. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Let's go and try to taxi. Come on, engines that sound like a Dyson. Hello? Oh, we're stuck in the building here. That's a shame. All right, let's fix that. I mean, taxiing this plane is very interesting. It has real wheel steering, so it's, you know, it steers very agilely. But in terms of how this plane feels, it doesn't really feel heavy at all. It might feel a little bit unconvincingly light and nimble. Like, look, can you see how we're moving here? This thing moves very quick. It moves too quick. Is that something? I don't know, but that's something a 777 pilot would have to say. That you can almost start doing donuts with this guy. Look how it seems. It looks a little bit like GTA 5 airplane. You know what I mean? So what we're doing here now is taking off from St. Barth. Why? Because the performance of this plane is quite good. I mean, look, we don't have a lot of fuel on board, only 6%, although we do weigh a little bit here. And to be honest, we have zero payload. We've got literally an empty airplane with a little bit of fuel in it, and that shows. So this is not really a realistic idea of how this airplane performs, but it's pretty funny and pretty crazy. Oh, wow, that's a lot of dust we're blowing. So let's go full power now. No trouble at all. And put the flaps out fully, like that. Yes. All right, so release brakes now. And the flight sim crashes. Anyway, let's not get bogged down with that. Let's go and try this again. We now have a little bit of more fuel here to make this at least a little bit more realistic. But yes, these G90 engines are pretty crazy. Let's go release the brakes now and put the flaps down fully. So let's see how that works. Yes, going full power in this plane. I see, you know, the sound design. It doesn't really bother me that much, but it's nothing, you know, extraordinary. Let's see if we can take off at all. I think we should be able to. Look at that. No trouble at all. You know what? Let's be real. It's not unconvincingly good, and that's actually a good thing. Look, we are pretty heavy now. If we were able to actually take off out of St. Barth, then I would very much doubt the realism here. But anyway, we've done a little bit of a tail strike. That's kind of cool here. It says that. And let's put the landing gear up. And this one in my live stream I had issues with. For some reason, the landing gear lever would not work at all.
You're on 124.25.
Put the landing gear up, man. For some reason, I cannot put the landing gear up. I need to check out. Oh, now the landing gear's up, but it says down. Huh? Oh, the landing gear was down? Like, I don't know, that is a bit weird. But there we go. Okay, the plane works now without any problems. It's so weird sometimes in the Microsoft Flight Sim, like, unredoable. Now with these flags, I always wonder if this is done on purpose. Like, this American flag here is the other way around than this American flag. Is that normal? Or is this like an alternate universe South Africa flag? Is that, I don't know. Let's see if we can land this fella. Get the landing gear down. Perfect. Yes. Let's not go full power. Let's turn off auto throttle. Come on, give me power. I mean, as we're flying along, we can select something that PMDG has always done quite well, honestly. And that is if we go into PMDG setup right here and select some failures. Right now we have a failure active, and that's the tail strike. Yeah, just like the 737, the 777, we have failures here. So we can program here a bit of a engine fire here, even though, to be honest, look, it shows up here, fire engine left. It doesn't really do much. It doesn't have anything going on the outside, which is a bit of a shame, but something we do have is that we can have a tire failure here. So let's do that, and it shows up here as well. Tire press. Oh no. Well, let's not care. It might actually come in handy landing down there at St. Barth, since we now only have one engine practically. All right, so let's see. We've got, once again, quite a lot of fuel here. We're not empty, or maybe empty inside of our hearts. Let's see if we can land this plane down there. And well, how does this plane fly? Yeah, classic Microsoft Flight Sim plane, a little bit of goofy, cartoonish, but overall not the worst now, I feel like. It doesn't fly like a RC plane now, especially if we have weight in it. Oh wow, holy shoot. Okay, you don't worry. Don't worry. All right. Oh my god, that was a hard landing. No trouble at all, though. Let's see how oh no, broken tires. They don't really do much. That looks like no... By the way, we stopped in no time. Probably because we lost all that energy here on touchdown, to be honest. By the way, I think the funniest bit, and that's really where the plane looks cartoonish still, I gotta be honest, is when you brake a little bit. Okay. Hold on. I think now we see a little bit of that tire problem because we steer to the left all the time. I think we have a tire problem here on the left tire. Doesn't really show visually, but I guess in a bit of a flight model it shows because like this is not working. Very interesting. That was a very good landing. I don't think this video does this plane justice. It's very nice. Look at all the menu screens. Look at what we can do here. As you can see, we have tire wear. We can replace those tires. Look at that. We've done that. Look at all the vehicles we've just spawned in. Nice. So many things this plane can do. Yes, it's very realistic. So if you want a 777, both versions are Swiss 01 approved. I just kind of get the flight sim community's rage about not at all rewarding customer loyalty. If you're looking for the most realistic airplane for the flight sim at all, you are not right here. That's something I do have to say. Talking about Phoenix, circuit breakers don't work. And Jesus Christ, please fix that modeling. The modeling really isn't perfect. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow as always. Good night. And a special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters, Guns Killer, R27, James Duram, that dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijitsu Fanner, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New the York. You've got beautiful names.